Mrs. Mark, why isn't anyone picking up? Ivory, sweetie, your parents' number has been disconnected. Disconnected? That's impossible. Try again, please. I've tried 5 times, and the emergency contact they listed is also disconnected. But camp ends tomorrow. They're supposed to pick you up. Where are your parents? My parents moved to another state while I was at summer camp and changed their phone numbers. Hi, my name is Ivory. Today I'm going to tell you my story. But before I continue, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. I was 15 years old when my parents abandoned me. That's not an exaggeration or teenage dramatics. They literally left me at summer camp and disappeared. But to understand why, I need to go back further. I'm the eldest of 3 kids. My brother Trevor was 13, and my sister Bianca was 11. Growing up, I always felt like I was different from them somehow. They were both outgoing, athletic, and effortlessly charming. I was quiet, bookish, and struggled socially. My parents, Gerald and Veronica Hayes, never let me forget it. Why can't you be more like your brother? Mom would say when I'd rather read than go to parties. Trevor has so many friends. You need to put yourself out there. Dad was worse. Bianca got the lead in the school play again. What are you doing with your time, Ivory? Reading fantasy novels? That's not going to get you anywhere in life. They weren't physically abusive. They fed me, clothed me, made sure I did my homework. But emotionally, I was always the disappointment, the one who didn't quite measure up, and they made sure I knew it. When I was 14, things got worse. My parents started making comments about money whenever I needed anything. New shoes for school? Do you know how expensive you are? A field trip fee? We can barely afford to keep this household running. Meanwhile, Trevor got a new gaming computer and Bianca got enrolled in an expensive dance intensive. I started babysitting to earn my own money. At 15, I'd saved nearly $800 from watching neighbors' kids. I kept it in my room in an old shoebox, planning to use it for college applications eventually. That summer, my parents announced I'd be going to Camp Pinewood Summit for 8 weeks. It was a camp 3 states away, focused on outdoor survival skills and independence. I didn't want to go. I'd miss my books, my quiet room. But they insisted. It'll be good for you, Mom said. You need to learn some real-world skills instead of always having your nose in a book. Plus, it's fully paid for through a scholarship program. You won't be costing us anything, Dad added. That should have been my first warning sign. My parents never did anything that didn't benefit them somehow. The night before I left, I went to get money from my shoebox to buy supplies for camp. The box was empty. All $800 gone. I ran downstairs. Mom, Dad, someone stole my babysitting money. They were in the living room with Trevor and Bianca. Mom barely looked up. We borrowed it. You'll get it back eventually. Borrowed it? That was my money. I earned it. Dad's face hardened. We're your parents. What's yours is ours. We needed it for household expenses. Household expenses? You just bought Trevor that computer. Don't raise your voice at me, Ivory. We provide for you, and you're complaining about contributing to the family. Ungrateful. I looked at my siblings. Trevor was smirking. Bianca looked uncomfortable but said nothing. I realized then that they'd known. They'd probably been there when my parents took it. I went to camp the next day, angry and hurt, but figuring I'd deal with it when I got back. Camp was actually better than expected. Away from my family's constant criticism, I thrived. I made friends, learned survival skills, even led a few group activities. For the first time, I felt capable. The camp was 8 weeks long, mid-June to mid-August. We had limited phone access, just one supervised call home per week from the camp office. Every week, I'd call home. Mom or Dad would answer, ask basic questions about camp, then say they had to go. The conversations lasted maybe 3 minutes. How's everything at home? I'd ask. Fine, we're busy. Talk to you next week, Mom would say and hang up. By week 7, something felt off. Mom's voice sounded strange, excited, almost like she was hiding something. When I tried calling on my scheduled day during week 8, nobody answered. The camp counselor, Mrs. Mark, tried 3 times. Maybe they're just out, she said. Try again tomorrow. Tomorrow came. Still no answer. That's weird, Mrs. Marks said, frowning. Let me try the emergency contact they listed. She dialed the number for my Aunt Rebecca, my mom's sister. Disconnected. Maybe she changed numbers, I suggested, feeling uneasy. Let me try the other emergency contact. She called my grandmother, Helen. Also disconnected now. Mrs. Mark looked concerned. Ivory, sweetie, this is unusual. Both emergency contacts with disconnected numbers. Try my parents again, I said, my heart starting to race. Mom, Dad, why isn't anyone picking up? Ivory, sweetie, your parents' number has been disconnected. Disconnected? That's impossible. Try again, please. I've tried 5 times, and the emergency contact they listed is also disconnected. But camp ends tomorrow. They're supposed to pick you up. Where are your parents? Mrs. Mark put a hand on my shoulder. Let's not panic. I'm going to call the camp director. We'll figure this out. That night, I barely slept. The camp director, Mr. Anderson, tried every number multiple times. All disconnected. He even tried calling the police in my hometown for a wellness check. When they went to my address, the house was empty. Not just empty of people, empty of furniture. The neighbors told police the family had moved out 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. While I was at camp, my parents had packed up, moved, and disappeared. Mr. Anderson sat me down the next morning. Ivory, I don't know how to tell you this gently, so I'll just say it. Your parents appear to have moved without informing the camp or leaving forwarding information. The house is vacant. All their numbers are disconnected. I felt numb. They left me. We're going to figure this out. We've been trying to locate any other family members. Do you have anyone else? Grandparents, aunts, uncles? My Aunt Rebecca, but her number's disconnected. My grandmother Helen, same thing. My dad's parents died when I was little. There's my mom's brother, Uncle Warren, but I don't know his number. They spent all day trying to track down Uncle Warren. Finally, late that evening, they found him through his workplace. Mrs. Mark handed me the phone. Uncle Warren. Ivory? What's wrong? Why are you calling from a camp office? My parents are gone. They moved while I was at camp and disconnected their phones. I have nowhere to go. There was a long silence. They did what? I explained everything. Uncle Warren listened, and I could hear him getting angrier. Those selfish, stay right there. I'm coming to get you. Give me 2 days to arrange things, but I'm coming. You hear me? You're not alone. Those 2 days were the longest of my life. Other campers were getting picked up by their families, excited for reunions. I stayed in the camp office, helping with paperwork to avoid thinking. Mrs. Mark and the other counselors were kind, but I could see the pity in their eyes. Uncle Warren arrived exactly when he promised. He was my mom's younger brother, someone I'd only met a handful of times because my parents had cut him off years ago over some argument I never understood. He walked into the camp office and pulled me into a tight hug. I'm so sorry, Ivory. I had no idea they were capable of this. On the drive to his house 4 hours away, he explained what he'd learned. I called your Aunt Rebecca. She claimed she didn't know they were planning this, but she's not surprised. Your mom apparently told her months ago that you were difficult, and they were exhausted from dealing with you. Difficult? What did I do? According to Rebecca, your mom complained you weren't social enough, didn't participate in family activities, always had your nose in books. She said your parents felt like they were wasting resources on a kid who wasn't going to amount to anything. I stared out the window, trying not to cry. They took my babysitting money before I left. They what? I told him about the $800. Uncle Warren's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Those bastards. They planned this, Ivory. They sent you to camp, stole your money, and used those 8 weeks to disappear. But why? Why not just, I don't know, send me to boarding school or something? Because they're selfish cowards. Your mom always had to have everything perfect, everything easy. You didn't fit her picture of the perfect family, so she erased you from it. Uncle Warren lived in a small apartment. He was single, worked as an electrician, and lived simply. It's not much, he said, showing me the guest room. But it's yours for as long as you need it. That first week, he tried everything to find my parents. He hired a private investigator named Mr. Collins, who tracked them down within days. They'd moved to another state, over 1,000 miles away. New house, new phones, new life. The investigator even found their social media accounts. That's when it got truly painful. Uncle Warren showed me my mom's social media page. Photos of them in their new house, smiling. Photos of Trevor and Bianca at new schools, making new friends. The captions talked about new beginnings and fresh starts and simplifying our lives. Not one mention of me. Not one photo. I'd been completely erased. Look at this, Uncle Warren said, his voice shaking with anger. He showed me a post from my mom. So grateful for our family of 4. Sometimes less is more, and we've never been happier. Family of 4. They weren't even pretending I'd ever existed. Uncle Warren contacted a lawyer named Ms. Rodriguez who specialized in family law. She was furious when she heard my story. This is child abandonment. They could face criminal charges. I want to press charges, I said immediately. Are you sure? They're your parents. They abandoned me at summer camp. They're not my parents anymore. Ms. Rodriguez filed charges. The police in my parents' new state got involved. My parents were arrested 3 weeks later. When questioned, my mom actually said, "We thought she'd be better off with other family. She never fit in with us anyway." The prosecutor was a woman named Ms. Hamilton who treated my case like a personal mission. "This isn't just abandonment," she told us. "They stole from her, planned her removal from the family, and showed no remorse. I'm pushing for the maximum penalties." The case took 6 months. During that time, I lived with Uncle Warren and started therapy. My therapist, Dr. Bennett, helped me understand that my parents' actions reflected their failures, not mine. "You said you felt different from your siblings," he said during one session. "Can you tell me more about that?" "They were just better at being what my parents wanted. Social, sporty, outgoing. I liked reading and being alone. My parents hated that." "Did they ever say they loved you?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. Not that I remember. They'd say it to Trevor and Bianca all the time, but to me? No. That's emotional abuse, Ivory. What they did at the end was just the final act of a pattern that had been going on for years. In court, my parents tried to claim they'd been overwhelmed and made a mistake. Their lawyer painted them as stressed parents who'd made a poor decision in a moment of crisis. Ms. Hamilton destroyed that narrative. She presented evidence of planning, the camp scholarship they'd applied for months in advance, the lease on their new house signed 6 weeks before they left, the withdrawal of me from my school 2 days before camp ended. She presented my stolen babysitting money as evidence of financial exploitation. She even had testimony from neighbors who said they'd asked my parents about me and been told I was staying with relatives. My Aunt Rebecca testified. She admitted my mom had talked about rehoming me, like I was a pet they didn't want anymore. The judge's face when she said that was something I'll never forget. My parents were convicted of child abandonment, theft, and child endangerment. They each got 2 years in prison, though they'd be eligible for parole after 1 year. They were also ordered to pay restitution, my stolen $800 plus damages for therapy and living expenses. But here's the thing about my siblings. Throughout the entire trial, neither Trevor nor Bianca reached out to me. Not once. They'd gone along with erasing me from the family without protest. After my parents were sentenced, Uncle Warren got emergency custody of me. He immediately started proceedings to adopt me. "If you'll have me," he said. "I know I'm not your first choice of guardian, but I promise I'll do better than they did." "You're already doing better," I said. The adoption was finalized 6 months later, right before my 16th birthday. Uncle Warren threw me a party, just us and a few of my new friends from school. He gave me a necklace with an ivory elephant charm. "You're strong like ivory," he said. "They tried to break you, but you survived. And you're going to thrive. I believe in you." My parents served 13 months before being released on parole. They moved back to their house in the new state, resuming their life with Trevor and Bianca. They never tried to contact me. The parole terms included a no-contact order anyway, but I knew even without it, they wouldn't reach out. About a year after their release, I got a Facebook message from Bianca. She was 14 now. Ivory, I'm sorry for what happened. I miss you. Can we talk? I showed Uncle Warren. What do you think? That's up to you. But be careful. She was part of this too. I responded, you watched them steal my money. You watched them pack up and leave without me. You didn't say anything for 2 years. I don't know what you want now, but I'm not interested in pretending we're sisters. She wrote back, it's hard here now. Mom and Dad fight all the time. Trevor got in trouble at school. I thought maybe you'd understand. So you want support from the sister they abandoned? No. You made your choice when you stayed silent. Live with it. She didn't respond. I'm 19 now. I'm in college studying social work, focusing on helping kids in foster care and family crisis situations. Uncle Warren, I call him Dad now, helped me pay for college. We used every penny of the restitution money my parents paid, and he covered the rest. I learned through distant relatives that my parents' perfect life fell apart. Trevor dropped out of high school and has been in and out of rehab for substance abuse. Bianca is deeply depressed and struggling academically. My parents divorced 2 years after getting out of prison, each blaming the other for how their lives turned out. Some people say I should feel bad for them. I don't. They made calculated choices to prioritize their comfort over their child. They stole from me, abandoned me, and tried to erase my existence. The fact that their remaining children are struggling shows they were always terrible parents. I was just the first one they decided to discard. Uncle Warren, Dad, taught me what real family looks like. He's never once made me feel like a burden. He celebrates my love of reading, encourages my education, and tells me he's proud of me constantly. He's shown me that biology doesn't make family, love and commitment do. I haven't spoken to my biological parents since the trial. I have no interest in reconciliation. They showed me exactly who they were, and I believe them. Recently, my biological mother tried sending a letter through a relative. It was full of excuses and justifications, ending with, I hope someday you can forgive us and we can be a family again. I threw it away without finishing it. We're not a family. We never really were. And I've built something better without them. So here's my question for you. If parents deliberately abandon their child and show no genuine remorse, only regret when their own lives fall apart, do they deserve forgiveness just because they're biological parents? Or is there a point where some people lose the right to call themselves parents at all? I know my answer. What's yours?